Out of pretty much nowhere, the jungle biome has finally been added to Helldivers 2. When the trailer for Viper Commandos dropped, the new items were being showcased in a biome that simply didn't exist yet. So aside from the shots in the trailer, we were left to our imagination as to what this planet could be. But now, it has finally arrived, and it's everything I was hoping for, plus a little more. My name is Easy, and this is going to be a quick little video here, but I just want to talk about how badass this new jungle biome is, and give you a couple of tips that I picked up, because this is exactly what new biomes should be like in Helldivers 2. Upon loading up Helldivers 2 today, you'll notice that we are being called to defend a planet that we've never visited before, Gkrux. Unfortunately, it is not part of the major order, but don't let that stop you from diving in. Although, I will say that the defense of this planet is only going to last 14 hours, so I have a feeling Joel released this new biome just to throw a wrench into the major order. That being said, if you want to focus on the major order, we'll always have another chance to experience this planet, plus I would have to assume a few more planets in the galaxy will be getting this biome. However, for now, Gkrux is the only active planet to feature the jungle biome. The planet itself looks pretty sweet from both our galactic map and from orbit, but we aren't actually sure what the operation modifiers will be, as when a planet is under Super Earth control, we aren't affected by modifiers. So for now, there are just torrential rainstorms. I'm sure the modifiers probably won't be anything new, unfortunately, and it'll just be something like increased call-in time for stratagems, or something along those lines. But it would make it even better if we did get new modifiers. Fingers crossed. If you're anything like me, when you finally dive into a mission, you'll immediately fall in love with the new environment. The in-game description reads, "Tall, gnarled trees flourish across the surface of this forested world. Sunlight filters past dangling vines to the saturated undergrowth beneath." And this description could not be any more accurate. If you're on a daytime mission, you can catch glimpses of the sun and sky behind the lush, towering trees and mountains. There are serious Rambo vibes from missions on this planet. Although you as the player obviously aren't there, you can really feel and see the humidity and dampness of the world around you. If it wasn't for your map, you'd be getting lost and turned around everywhere you go. Honestly, this happens even with the map sometimes. At every turn, there are either massive trees, huge mountains, or rivers flowing through the map. And of course, in between all of these things are bushes and grass. Lots of bushes and grass. You really feel like you're playing as a soldier trudging through a jungle, and the limited visibility due to the trees makes it so that you usually hear enemies before you even see them. So you're just waiting to turn a corner and come face to face with a charger. Even better though, enemies like Bile Titans can knock down trees, so it is quite a terrifying thing to see trees falling down in the distance, because you know there is only one enemy that can be doing that. But all of that is just the daytime experience of Gkrux. Night missions bring an entirely different vibe to the biome. Instead of being a hot, humid, and disgusting trudge through a jungle, night turns the biome into a horror-esque experience that puts even Malevelon Creek to shame. When there is a rainstorm at night, the fog is so dense that you really can't see more than a few feet in front of you. You can make out shadows of the environment in the distance, but your only telltale sign of enemies is noise. And of course the map. But you don't have visual confirmation of any enemies until they're within 10 or so feet of you. This makes for some very cinematic moments when you have to keep watch in every direction and use audio cues to spray down enemies that appear out of the fog before they get to you first. Arrowhead knocked it out of the park with the vibes in this biome. I absolutely cannot wait until we get a biome like this on the Automaton front. The planet X-45 does have the same look as Gkrux from the galactic map, so hopefully we're able to fight on this planet soon, because fighting bots in this biome would create some of the greatest Helldivers 2 moments ever. Plus, with the large amount of foliage, stealth would be even better on a biome like this, and it would just be so fun, don't even get me started. Another thing I actually kind of like, and I know some people might not enjoy this, but the towering trees and mountains makes it very difficult to see what's coming ahead or what's in the distance. Really, there isn't any looking in the distance at all, because at most you can only see a few hundred feet in front of you until something massive blocks your line of sight. What I love about this is that it makes spotting side objectives very difficult. Typically on other biomes, it's very easy to spot anything in the distance because most biomes are just massive wide open spaces. But in this biome, it makes things like radar towers that much more valuable and provides a unique challenge when something like Stalkers or Shriekers are spawning. In one of my games, Shriekers were flying through the trees, but we just couldn't pinpoint where the nest was. It took us some extra time to find it, which was actually enjoyable because on any other planet, we would have seen it coming from a mile away and killed it before a single enemy spawned. I know, again, some people won't agree with me on this, but I actually do like when the environment can provide unique challenges. Speaking of unique things the environment does, there is one new planetary hazard. I think this counts as one, right? I don't know what exactly to call this thing, but it's basically just a little rock spire that has green smoke coming out. If you shoot it, or an enemy hits it, it will erupt into flames. I died to this on my first mission and literally had no idea how I died. I just burst into flames and instantly died. It was so fast that reacting with a stim or a dive wasn't really possible. But these threats are not just incredibly dangerous to Helldivers. They are fantastic things on the map to take out hordes of enemies very quickly and efficiently. With the amount of trees and objects on the map, this means you can easily lead a group of enemies down a tight lane, straight into one of these rocks, and watch them go up into flames. These rocks also have unlimited uses with seemingly no cooldown, so if you can find one near an objective, make sure you use it because it's a very cheap and strong way to dispose of big groups of enemies. Oh, I've also got to mention that Stalkers are actually terrifying on this map. With the amount of shrubbery and overall objects that exist on the map, mixed with the limited visibility, Stalkers are thriving in this biome. More than ever, they very easily get behind your team, and once that happens, at that point, your life is in their hands. On most other planets, you can sometimes see them coming from a distance away, but here that is not happening. If you thought taking out Stalker nests was a priority on other maps, the priority is doubled, maybe even tripled here. But it can be a bit of a challenge finding that Stalker nest because again, you can't see very far before either trees, fog, or mountains cut off your visibility. This makes for some very fun and stressful moments where your team is scrambling to find the nest, only to watch your teammates drop like flies to Stalkers hiding in bushes, and you just sit there knowing you're next. In this biome, I would heavily recommend taking as many movement boosters as you can. Things like muscle enhancement, stamina, and experimental infusion are really nice to have in this biome. There is just so much shrubbery and bushes to slow you down, and the massive trees, mountains, and rivers will almost always cut you off from getting somewhere, forcing you to do one of those massive loops around the map. So having movement boosters to help make that a little faster is really nice. In most of my games so far, my team has used Hell Pod optimization, experimental infusion, stamina, and muscle enhancement, and this has proved to be really good for me. But if you really want to fit in something like Vitality, you could definitely remove experimental infusion if you wanted to. Lastly, one of the biggest issues you'll run into on this map is the fact that Eagle stratagems aren't actually as good as they are on most biomes. You are probably wondering, how does a biome change how effective Eagle is? Well, unfortunately, the towering trees and mountains are so tall that a lot of the time, your stratagem will end up hitting one of those instead of the ground. And I don't mean your ball, like the actual projectile will hit the tree. This is because Eagle usually drops stuff at a bit of an angle. This happens a ton with 500 kg, so I can't recommend taking something like that. Personally, I would lean more towards orbital stratagems to get the job done. Sometimes even those fly in at an angle and will take down a tree and not the Bile Titan in front of you, so just keep that in mind. For loadouts, really not much is different here. If anything, I think you want to go for weapons that have better ergonomics and control and are more suited for close range combat. So any of the shotguns would be totally fine, or an AR with good ergonomics like the Tenderizer or Liberator Carbine would be great here too. Really, anything that isn't a sniper, I would be fine with running. I'm sure you could make snipers work, but I just don't really see the point, because in most situations you're going to have enemies coming at you from all angles, and sometimes you can't even see them coming. So you want to have a weapon that can drop them quickly and allow you to stay on the move. Personally, I was running with the Stalwart and Supply Pack, and this was a ton of fun. I was just zooming around the map with unlimited experimental stims, and the Stalwart was the perfect weapon for fighting in the fog. Overall, this new biome is really sick. It might just be recency bias talking, but I think this is my new favorite biome in the game. I really hope some other planets open up with the jungle setting, especially on the automaton front, because again, I think fighting bots in the jungle would just be Malevelon Creek on steroids. It would be so awesome. Point is, I think this jungle biome is exactly what Arrowhead should be aiming for when adding new biomes to the game. It brings new visuals, new gameplay styles, new challenges, and new vibes. Honestly, it feels more fresh and new than even the Meridian environment did, which I think says a lot. I will say, I do wish this planet maybe featured a new massive planetary hazard that was jungle themed. I don't know what that could have been. Maybe like during rainstorms, trees could fall and crush the player. I'm sure someone else could come up with something else way cooler, but either way, that's a very small complaint in what is overall a fantastic addition to Helldivers 2. Arrowhead should give themselves a pat on the back because I think they did fantastic here. Let me know what you think about this new biome down below. Oh, and also, join my Discord. We have community games running pretty much every night, and we're very quickly approaching 500 members, so get in there and run some hell dives with groups of players that aren't toxic and actually use comms. My name has been Easy. Drop a sub if you enjoyed and want more content like this. I appreciate you for watching. Seriously, I do. Thank you for sticking around till the end. Until next time, have a nice morning, afternoon, and night. Take care of yourself. See ya!